And he'll be playing against Christopher Hall. Christopher Hall playing Elves, so a much more traditional deck. I mean, if you're watching the Open Series at all, you're very familiar with Elves, and Ross Merriam oftentimes playing it along with Christopher Anderson, but this will be Christopher Hall doing battle with the little green creatures, and we'll see if Cloud Vine can get the job done here.
So I think that Eric made a post on social media saying that he was looking for Intuition and Quirion Rangers.
I heard those.
And we were back in the room, and I'm like, is he playing Kiora's followers in his elf deck? Like, what's going on here with the Intuitions? But now this makes much more sense.
We'll start things off with a bio here for Chris via Verdant Catacombs as round number 2 is underway. Deathrite Shaman and a passing of the turn. Tropical Island is the draw. And now a Deathrite Shaman over there for Rill.
So I think this might be a problematic matchup here for Eric. He does have 4 copies of Force of Will, which can be very helpful if Christopher's trying to win, you know, just with Glimpse or Natural Order or something along those lines. But his deck's a little bit slower here, not a lot in the way of disruption. The Vengevine package does not seem that potent against Elves.
Verdant Catacombs number 2. That'll just be a basic forest this go around here for Hall. Now, Hall, of course, you have to imagine at least has no idea what he's playing against here. So, you know, the way that he searches up his lands, I think he might just be doing it with just normal sequencing. And it is certainly possible with Rill Start that he is just playing some sort of Sultai deck. It's a very honest beginning.
Yeah, you can't extrapolate too much information here based on Eric's start.
Here is a glimpse. Well, now Eric knows what he's up against.
Oh.
There's only one deck that does this. The follow-up is a copy of Quirion Ranger. This will allow Hall to draw a card. And I'm not sure if he can go off this turn, but he's certainly going to try.
Well, he still has access to 1 more mana here.
Yep, there's a Nettle Sentinel. Draw another card. Quirion Ranger the draw. Nettle Sentinel. Another card being drawn. Natural Order has been picked up. And even though this isn't a turn where we're going to see Hall go off, presumably, doesn't look that way. It's still just a solid turn.
It's a solid turn, and if he's anticipating Eric to be on some fairly honest strategy, well, just flooding the board with this kind of stuff is a very powerful opening. Gets to look at a bunch of cards and set the stage for a lethal Natural Order. Maybe not next turn, but the turn after.
Misty Rainforest is the land here for Rill. So already behind on the board. Now here's a Finhorn Elf. Some very honest magic here from Eric.
Sort of.
At least so far.
I mean, there is a Crater Hoof Behemoth in the deck, for example, so he's not playing totally honest.
Looks like just a passing of the turn, so we're going to go back Hall's way. Hall will draw a copy of Crater Hoof Behemoth of his own.
Pretty far away from that, though. If Christopher finds a Cradle, he's got it pretty much immediately.
Looks like we're going into the red zone with those Nettle Sentinels. So 4 damage going to be dealt. There's a Bayou post-combat. And now here's an Elvish Visionary. Does require mana, so there that is. That'll, of course, untap the Nettle Sentinels. Card coming here. Another copy of Glimpse of Nature. And Rill will sacrifice Misty Rainforest, going down to 15. Dried Arbor is what he's dug up.
Keep in mind 4 copies of Cradle in Eric Rill's deck here as well. So he's in the market to also flood the board with a bunch of stuff and get to a pretty fast kill. 4 copies of Green Sun Zenith in the deck to that end.
It's kind of weird. He's kind of an Elves deck, but kind of not.
Yeah, he's got some dimensions of Elves, and then he's got some dimensions of Vengevine plus random synergies with Vengevine.
There is a Cradle, currently tapping for 3 mana, but it can do so much more depending on what Rill's draw looks like. Excited to see what Eric can put together this turn. Looks like he has a Wirewood Symbiote in his hand as well. He's going to tap 2 mana right now. There's a Cloud of Fairies, oh baby.
Ooh.
Oh, now this is adorable.
This is nice. Now, these, comes into play and untap lands equal to mana cost. Not a great cycle development-wise from Saga Block.
You don't like these?
Most of them not even close to acceptable for constructed level Magic.
Oh, you just get to untap 2 lands. Who even cares? Yeah. Here's a Green Sun Zenith for a large amount of mana. I believe enough to actually go get Crater of Behemoth at this point. Yeah, there is Crater of Behemoth. So Crater of Behemoth is going to give those creatures a lot of oomph. Now everybody's coming into the red zone. That's an above average turn right there.
Yeah, so they're all +5. So 15, 20, 21, 22 points of damage coming across right now.
Looks like there's going to have to be some blocking. And presumably enough that Hall doesn't die, but the question is it enough that he doesn't die and gets to keep a board to be able to potentially go off the next turn?
Well, 22, if there's 22 coming across right now, that means the 2 Nettle Sentinels plus the Visionary allows him to go to 1. Now, you ask a good question. Will there be enough of a board there for Christopher to be doing something of substance next turn? Because Crater of Behemoth is no longer nearly as potent when you had to lose 3 creatures.
Yep. So it's time for Hall to do some blocking here. And as trample damage is assigned and creatures will come through, Hall will lose quite a few things. Or Rill will lose nothing. And we'll see if Hall can make some sort of comeback here.
Yeah, I mean, this takes so much wind out of his sails now with his board being down. It means that, guys, Cradle is no longer nearly as good of a draw as it would have otherwise been.
With a Deathrite Shaman, Aquarian Ranger, and 2 lands, can Christopher Hall make one heck of a comeback? Elves are certainly capable.
Yes.
We've seen it before. But being down 2 Nettle Sentinels does probably make things a little bit difficult.
Also keep in mind that Eric has access to a Bayou, so if Christopher has to commit the Deathrite Shaman to something, Eric can simply untap and Deathrite Shaman away the spell in Christopher's graveyard and win the game that way.
Sure. Here's a glimpse. There's an Elvish Mystic. Draw a card. It's a forest. You have to imagine that he's looking for something like a Cradle here.
Well, this is a path. If he can get to Cradle, he may have the opportunity to get to Crater Hook Behemoth and have something else to attack with a huge board. That's at least a game plan.
Yep. Another Aquarian Ranger comes into play. Wirewood Symbiote was the draw. No Cradle just yet. You see the natural order, the Crater of Behemoth, and a couple forests over there. But that is the path, as you did mention. So you can find a Cradle somehow, though if he plays a land, that's out the window, and now it is. So there's a forest, there's a Wirewood. Take a draw. Heritage Druid the draw. You scan the graveyards, no lands in there to be able to activate Deathrite Shaman again.
Yeah, Christopher's doing a very good job giving himself as many paths as possible. I think the door may be shut now. But he definitely gave himself the most number of looks and held off for as long as possible, making his land drop, so if he drew Cradle, things became much easier.
Yep. And Chris realizes he can't get the job done. He's going to concede the game. Eric Rill's going to win game number 1 here over Christopher Hall. Cloudvine is up a game over Elves. Things I did not expect to say this morning as we do take a look at the sideboards. We will start with Hall and his 3 Cabal Therapies, his 2 Thoughtseize, his 2 Meek Stones, 2 Abrupt Decays, 2 Pit Needles, a Scavenging Ooze, a Progenitus, and a copy of Choke. Anything in here that we really like?
Nope. Not really.
I'm not really excited by any of this stuff either. Maybe discard?
This is one of those types of matchups where you have the discard in your deck. It's not clear that Eric's really been playing that combo-ish of a deck, so the discard spells may not be that important. Yes, you have a couple copies of Abrupt Decay, and you know that Eric has some mana creatures, but diluting your deck with Abrupt Decay is a very big cost. Usually you're saving that for permanents you absolutely have to get off the table to be able to win the game. You're not bringing in as random removal spells. I think they're all okay. But probably just submit the same 60. Looking at this, I don't know if I would mess around with very much here.
It's also tough, too, because you just don't really know what you're up against. I mean, maybe you think, okay, I'm against some sort of elves hybrid. I guess, that's what you can maybe put them on, but that's really about it, right?
It's hard to have a solid read. You didn't see intuition. You didn't see any giveaway. It just looked like there was a blue splash for Cloud of Fairies. That's really all you could see. Yeah. Maybe you could guess that Force of Will's in Eric's deck if there's enough blue cards, but it's hard to guess too much.
What do we see on the Rill side of his innovative deck?
3 copies of Abrupt Decay, 3 copies of Thoughtseize, 2 copies of Vendilion Click, 2 copies of Flusterstorm, a Venser Shaper Savant, a Scavenging Ooze, a Notion Thief, a Jace the Mind Sculptor, and a Garruk Wildspeaker. So I think that the 2 copies of Vendilion Click are pretty reasonable against elves. Elves can't really handle flyers very effectively, and often their hand has a lot of mana and 1 card that matters. So Vendilion Click has moments of being pretty good. I think the 1 copy of Notion Thief is fine to bring in here as it cuts off Glimpse and Elvish Visionary shenanigans.
Okay.
And besides that, again, not a lot to like here. I don't really like bringing in the random discard spells or the random removal spells, but I do like the clicks, and I do like the Notion Thief.
A Notion Thief story perhaps is on the way.
It's not lights out against elves, but it's pretty low cost to bring in, and it will have moments of being very, very good.
All right. Well, while these players do shuffle up here for game number 2, you may have noticed the wolves on our lapel this weekend, which means that's something new here for game night, and it is the Wolves pin and tokens.
Yes, this is the February kit. If you're not familiar with game night, once your store signs up for these kits, we send them out to you every week with pins and foils. You can run the game night whatever day of the week you want to, whatever format you want to. Just get players into your store for some fun and friendly magic. I believe it is too late to get signed up for the February kit, as we are already in February. But if you're looking to get signed up for March, head over to starcgames.com/game night. Get signed up today.
And really, who doesn't want an adorable wolf token?
Yep.
Who are we even kidding?
I like that the tokens and pins run the full spectrum of just legitimately adorable, like the wolf in front of us, to still cute and cartoony, but sort of horrifying, like the ooze from many months ago.
It's a delicate balance.
Right.
I think that's key. That's key, that the balance is really important here.
Yep. You just want a robust portfolio of different art so everyone can find what they're looking for.
Well, number 20 on our Open Series leaderboard here for Season 1 is Eric Rill. Again, very close to qualifying for the Players' Championship last year, but things just did not break his way in Season 2 or Season 3, as Van Meter and Lisette were our points leaders during those 2 seasons last year. We'll see what Rill can put together this year, though. Again, coming in this tournament with 1 bye, as he is number 17 through 32 on our leaderboard, do get a bye for all of our Open Series events. So Rill right in that range based off of his results from 2014. Here's a Thoughtseize. I'll show you a Thoughtseize on Rill's side, along with a Notion Thief. He was a fan as well. There's also a Force of Will over there.
So Eric has also gone into Disruption Overload here as he's brought in the Abrupt Decays and the Thoughtseizes. I like this a lot more from Eric's deck than I like out of Christopher's deck, because Eric has the Vengevine package. He doesn't have to go off to win the game. He can just generate value and beat down with Vengevines. And when you have that kind of element to your deck, then the discard spells and the random pieces of spot removal get a lot better. I think on Christopher's side of the table, because he has to win through comboing out, the opportunity cost for him to bring in these pieces of disruption is a lot higher.
We will see what Hall wants to take here from the hand. Again, you mentioned Abrupt Decay being brought in. That's over there for Rill, along with Force of Will, Notion Thief, Thoughtseize, and just a couple of lands. Disruption Overload, an interesting, approach to take here for Rill. Like, I understand why he's doing it, but, maybe you dilute your deck a little too much if you take this approach.
I suspect that the rationale here is that because he has Edrix and Vengevines and Intuitions, he can win from low resources. So if he trades 1-for-1 a bunch, he's probably the favorite in a game.
Hall's going to take a look at his hand. Wirewood Symbiote among the cards that are over there. And he will select Thoughtseize. And we'll be heading back Rill's way in just a moment. Perhaps Cloudvine is something we'll have in the sideboard for you guys later today from Nick Miller.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
Eric's got a bit of a legacy resume, known as a brewer, and this deck is certainly unorthodox.
He loves his Delver decks in Legacy too, so I was a little surprised to see him actually kind of playing this, but he does like to brew, as you mentioned.
And somewhere Ross Merriam is watching and smiling as the Progenitus comes rolling off the top for Christopher.
A staple of Ross's career playing Elves.
Old maid.
Here is Cabal Therapy.
Ooh, combo.
A rather informed decision.
Now he
Cabal
knows.
Therapy, yes. We'll take a Force of Will. The draw was a Tropical Island.
But this is the risk of going pure disruption here from Christopher's side of the table. He now has one creature in hand, facing down a removal spell on Eric's side, and the remainder of his hand is a Natural Order and a Progenitus.
Christopher going to sacrifice his Windswept here in an upkeep. Players a little bit of communication issues here. And it looked like Christopher was gonna draw, and then he decided he wanted to sacrifice. So, you know, maybe the question is, did you see that card? Did you not see that card? You see the players kind of communicating back and forth along with the judge that's on hand. So,
Yep. It's also possible that Christopher go too far here.
Yeah.
You know, what did he leave his opportunity to do so? So this will all get sorted out.
yeah, it looks like it's been given the green light.
And there's no big shenanigans here from Christopher's side of the table. He just has enough mana to function that he doesn't really want to draw a land at this point.
Yeah.
So I'd rather get one out of the deck.
And Dryad Arbor is oftentimes just better than a land. Perhaps he forgot to sacrifice in his end of turn when he wanted to, so Dryad Arbor could start getting into the red zone. But either way, he does have a Dryad Arbor on the table now.
Yeah. We don't get to hear the communication, but as you mentioned, there could be a variety of things going on.
Yeah. There's a Misty Rainforest. Now here's an attack for one. So it wasn't then a turn fetch. So
Yeah.
very clear now if it wasn't before, as now here's a Wirewood Symbiote. And a passing of the turn, Abrupt Decay is going to take care of the Symbiote. Got to get that thing off the table when playing against Elves. Causes too much trouble, as Rill will draw a card and play a Windswept Heath. Hall will sacrifice his Misty Rainforest. We'll see what land he wants to dig up.
Is Christopher just going to beat downtown over here?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
A second Dryad Arbor.
Keep in mind that Christopher also has the Natural Order at this point, so these Dryad Arbors count as creatures, of course, towards the Natural Order count, and for Critterhoof Behemoth as well.
The Arbors are coming in. I suppose if Rill's feeling a little frisky, he can sacrifice his Windswept Heath to go get his own Dryad Arbor and block, but he will just take 2 points of damage at this point.
Please meet your judge and decide in the area.
A Deathrite Shaman is the follow-up play here for Hall. And Rill will sacrifice that Windswept Heath.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining game thus far. I would have felt that Eric would have been the much better served deck here if both players were on Disruption Overload, but so far Christopher doing just fine and pretty close to setting up a kill here with Natural Order in hand.
And not entirely sure who's better served if they both move into disruption packages as they both have here.
I mean, it depends what Eric cut.
Yeah.
Is the big thing. I think having this amount of disruption is still predicated on having the Vengevine package in the deck somewhere.
Here's a Thoughtseize. Show you a Natural Order and Progenitus.
I like selecting Natural Order here because Progenitus is pretty hard to cast. Good play, Eric.
Good analysis by you as well. You and Eric really tag teaming up
Yeah,
here.
we are firing on all cylinders
Yeah.
so far.
Coffee's kicked in, hasn't it?
Yep.
Burst Lord range of the draw.
The rust's coming off. I can feel it.
Yeah. Well, we can't start going a different path. If Hall would like Deathrite Shaman, maybe going the remove your graveyard, drain you pathway.
And I don't mind casting a Morph here, too.
Oh, hello.
I think if, I understand Christopher wants to leave some resources back here in case he draws glimpses, he's got something to do, but I think I would just cast that bad boy face down, activated Deathrite Shaman.
2-2 is pretty juicy on this board, and if a 2-2 is good, a 4-3 is
Ooh, yeah.
better.
Never mind. Good patience by Christopher. The 2-2 wouldn't have been very good.
Here is Vengevine coming into the red zone. Former Legacy staple. Deathrite Shaman going to go to work. Take care of a Thoughtseize. Rill will lose 2. And this is just classic Legacy play here.
Yep. See it all the time.
Thoughtseize the draw.
I feel like this is neither deck's best punch.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
We're not seeing.
This isn't hard punch when playing as Balrog. This is more of the light punch.
This is light punch.
Actually, this would be light kick if you were playing as Balrog.
This is the kick button.
Yeah.
Which is actually just a different punch button.
That's correct. That's correct. There's old Birchfloor Ranger. We're going to head back Rill's way. Oh, well.
A second one.
Yikes.
My goodness. Force of Will back up too. With a blue card.
Yep. Notion Thief in hand. Rill going to sacrifice Misty.
Notion Thief in hand.
There's a Bayou. He certainly is on Cloud Vine right now.
You just could not wait to make that joke.
I actually think I should be applauded for waiting so long.
Could not hold it back.
I think I should be applauded for waiting that long into the match. There is another Vengevine.
You were sitting on pins and needles just waiting to make that joke.
Am who I am. Sometimes they just write themselves, man.
Sure, I guess you can call that.
Hall going to activate Deathrite Shaman. Take care of Abrupt Decay. Now it's 4-9. A Thoughtseize, a Progenitus, and now a Natural Order. That's timely. Now, does he have enough mana to do everything? Now, he knows, presumably, that Rill has a Forcible in hand, so he's going to do a little bit of math here.
No, I was picked up post-Cabal Therapy.
Yeah.
One got Therapied away, and then one was drawn.
Yep.
So he knows Notion Thief is in hand, but he doesn't know if there's Forcible.
And you take a look at the mana. One to cast Thoughtseize put him down to 2, and then he actually, assuming there's a fetch line in the graveyard, and there's actually one in his graveyard in Windswept Teeth. He does have access to 5 mana this turn to lead with Thoughtseize, go down to 2, and then cast Natural Order for Crater of Behemoth, assuming that Crater of Behemoth is still in the deck. So he can't take the safe route. He's going to lead off with Thoughtseize. Rill going to show his hand. And Force of Will very quickly selected. And now it is time, as there goes the Windswept Teeth, for a little Natural Order. There goes Dryad Arbor. Rill will take a long look at his Notion Thief, wishing he had Forcible in his hand.
Yeah, great play there by Christopher, seeing that, even if he was down he was down a creature essentially because he had to use the Deathrite Shaman for mana instead of attacking with it, but that could still power through the blocker that Eric had.
Yep.
We should be on to game 3.
And we certainly are. Christopher Hall with a timely Natural Order is going to get the job done here over Eric Rill. They're tied up, our Elves and Cloud Vine. And, we deserve a third match here. A third game, excuse me.
We do.
We deserve it. When there's a brew out there, you got to get 3 games with it.
Now I'm curious to see how Eric sideboarded, because he brought in a ton of stuff, it felt like. Decays and Thoughtseizes. And those weren't even and the Notion Thief. And those weren't even the sideboard cards I was most excited about. That's actually Vendilion Click.
Yeah, I think this is an issue of, he just went too reactive there. Because he drew a lot of his reactive cards, and then he just lost 2. A discard spell and then Natural Order.
So I could see him pretty easily cutting Edric, Spymaster, or Trent, because Christopher's deck is very good at blocking. So that's a card I think is probably an easy cut. Past that, there's not a lot of obvious cards to take out of the deck.
Yeah, I think sideboarding with a deck like Rill's, and truthfully with a deck like Christopher's as well, is always pretty difficult.
Yeah, like I like Fauna Shaman a lot in Eric's deck post board because Christopher can't kill it very easily. Maybe he's got some removal spells, but probably not. And if that gets into play, he's got a lot of ability to leverage his removal spells because Fauna Shaman allows him to assemble a pretty good Vengevine engine.
The old Vengevine, an old favorite. These players will shuffle up here for game number 3, where hopefully we will have some more Vengevine action. But in the meantime, we will talk about not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 books available here from Cardboard Crack.
Yeah, the first 3 books were so well received that we went ahead and printed a 4th copy. They're all available on paperback. This is the black and white Magic the Gathering themed comic strip that's very popular. They're all $12.99 a piece, and you can head over to starcitygames.com/cardboardcrack to order your copy or copies today.
Big fan of Cardboard Crack. Do follow him on Twitter. You can also find him in the Star City Games newsletter as well. As we do turn our attention back to game number 3 here between Elves and Cloudvine. We've watched almost 2 rounds of Legacy, and we're going to see 6 different archetypes now.
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it. That's why covering Legacy tournaments is so much fun.
Although these 2 decks do have some similarities. At their core, they're critical mass of creatures plus Critterhoof Behemoth.
Yeah.
With Gaia's Cradle to cheat the whole thing. But the details are where things get quite a bit different.
I really like that combination of Cloud of Fairies plus Cradle. Not something I've seen before in Legacy, that's for sure. But I did like that interaction, and hopefully we get to see some more of that this game.
Same.
It feels like cheating.
It does.
Maybe we'll see more of that in the format. Who knows? There's just a general air of unfairness to Cloud of Fairies. It's just not an honest card.
No, it is not.
I know what they were going for, I think, but it's just not an honest card.
They just didn't understand the implications back then. They just didn't. And they obviously did not understand the power level of Tolarian Academy and Gaia's Cradle.
You're saying they would not print lands like that today?
No, I don't think so.
Are any of those lands okay to print? Serra's Sanctum?
They're still dangerous. I mean, Serra's Sanctum would probably not get played in a lot of standard formats because there just wouldn't be the critical mass of enchantments required to build a good deck. It would still be super dangerous.
What about Shivan Gorge? Can they bring that one back?
Shivan Gorge is safe to print.
That one's okay? All right,
Yeah.
That's good. That's part of the cycle.
Right.
I'm using the term cycle very loosely.
So there's 2 busted beyond belief designs.
Academy and Cradle.
There's 2, like, maybe Standard could handle this, maybe Standard couldn't, but extremely risky designs.
Phyrexian Tower and
Serra's Sanctum. And then there's one, like, I'm not positive you would play this in your draft deck.
And the Gorge.
It's Shivan Gorge.
Red always getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, well, there's some land cycles where Red kind of did okay for themselves. Barbarian Ring, probably the best of that cycle, though that's a lot of context.
I'll take Cephalid Coliseum as best of that cycle.
Sure, Coliseum's a fine choice, yeah.
I'll take the blue one as the best of the cycles.
Yep, you're right.
Here's a Deathray Shaman. I would actually, okay, people watching at home, get your Twitters ready. Which land cycle is the one where red is the best one? Does it exist?
Oh, I think I have it. The Zendikar cycle of commons that come into play tap. Teetering Peak's got to be better than the other ones.
I'd have to think about it. I would have to think about it. Here's a Quirion Ranger. I'm a pretty big Sagiri Step fan.
Oh, dude, come on.
Neither Reliquary could search for a Sagiri Step, and that mattered.
Yeah, if your opponent didn't know that card was in your deck.
Even if they did, it mattered. They had to play around that. Here's another Quirion Ranger. Also, if oh boy, red got 1, and it's Teetering Peaks. You really jumped on that pretty quick. I know the one.
Yep.
Good old mediocre Teetering Peaks. Here's an intuition. Oh, we are doing it now. Go get those Vengevines, Eric.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Eric, you're saying, can I keep none of them? Is that an option? So 2 in the bin, 1 in the grip.
So what we're looking for this turn, we're looking for him to be able to cast Cloud of Fairies and then the Vengevine in his hand. That's what we're looking for.
I think so.
It really says a lot about the speed and power of Legacy that Intuition sees as little play as it does.
Some people are bringing Valakut to the table. That's the best of that cycle.
A fine choice.
I think that one does win.
Valakut's a fine
I think
choice.
that one does win.
Not really my language, but the card's super good.
Yeah. Hated Valakut.
I believe it. It's pretty punishing to the types of strategies that you like to play.
Yeah, just never beat that deck ever.
Beat down decks without much disruption, but a solid late game with value and attrition. Not that good against Primeval Titan, typically.
The Keldon Megaliths?
I can't even remember. That's a time spiral cycle, so who even remembers what was going on? It's not even a cycle. It's just 5 random cards, right?
I think so. Some people have brought Sandstone Needle to the table, but I think that the blue one was probably better. The Surprise and Scary, or even good old Peter Bog.
Sandstone Needle's pretty busted.
It's pretty good.
Sandstone Needle's pretty busted.
Remote Farm was also in that cycle. That one was really good.
Yeah. But it says a lot about the 2-mana lands. You mentioned before, are they ever going to print Academy and Cradle? Obviously not. I'm not even sure. I think that City of Traders and Ancient Tomb are absolutely off the table for a standard level set, not even close to cards they would print. In fact, I think Temple of the False God is a card they would probably hesitate to print.
Well, there are some real cost with that card,
yes,
too.
And that's a card with a high opportunity cost, but I still think there would be reservations. The history of 2-mana lands. They show up a lot.
They do. Our Brupticate is going to take away with Quirion Ranger as we move into Hall's turn. Hall will take a draw step. He's got a Quirion Ranger out there, a Dryad Arbor and a Bayou, Cradle in hand, Deathrite Shaman picked up. Also a Glimpse over there as well, so the potential for a very big turn.
Got to say, a little disappointed in the end of turn Intuition for 3 Vengevines, untap, kill your guy, Play-Doh creatures.
Not a big fan of that turn.
Wasn't thrilled.
No.
Hopefully next turn he sets something up that's pretty big.
Here's a glimpse. This could be something pretty big.
Assuming he gets another turn.
True.
Now we're not sure that's going to happen.
Deathrite Shaman will be cast. Take a draw. Not the best glimpse turn. Take a look at Chris's hand. He's got some lands and a natural order.
Yeah, the glimpse wasn't getting any better, and he already had Cradle in hand, so if he finds a 1-mana creature here, there might be huge fireworks. I really like playing the glimpse here, but obviously did not work out that well for him.
Some saying that the depletion lands from Time Spiral Fungal Reaches the best of the bunch, but I argue that Dreadship Reef was the best
whatever
of
the
bunch.
blue-black one was that lets you flash back your teachings or whatever. That one was the best one.
Here's a natural order. Gonna sacrifice the Deathrite Shaman as part of the cost. And for once, Progenitus is not in hand and coming into play on SCG Live. A rarity. And this immediately puts the clock on Eric to actually get the job done.
Yeah, this might mean that Eric now has to try to win through Craterhoof Behemoth.
Yeah.
Because Christopher will likely be able to chump block out of Vengevine over 2 turns.
Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that Rill is at 17. Now, he's going to search up a land here. And he does have the ability to actually gain life in this situation and go up to 19, then go up to 21, though he is draining here.
Yep. Well, I mean, he's also, he kind of has to go 2 ways here. One is hopefully punk Christopher out with damage or get himself over 21 to be able to gain life and take 2 hits from Progenitus. But he still has the option to go and do the second thing if he wants to. He could untap, activate Deathrite Shaman and gain 2, and then untap and do it again. So it's not like that door is closed.
Here's a second Deathrite Shaman. There's a Finhorn Elves. Hello, Vengevines.
Burp, 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 burp.
What a turn.
What a turn. And it still might be free for Eric to send an attack here with the 2 Vengevines if he has 2 creatures to follow up with next turn.
Well, he's coming in. Progenitus is going to predictably block, so 4 damage will be dealt. And we're going to head back to Hall, who draws a Thoughtseize for the turn. So you can see his hand. 3 lands. One of them is a fetch land, so that represents another Dryad Arbor. And then a Thoughtseize. Just not all that attractive of a hand. And we might be in a situation here where Chris can't even consider casting Thoughtseize because the 2 life might matter.
Exactly. And, you know, Christopher doesn't have a choice here but to attack with Progenitus. Eric's going to be able to overwhelm the Progenitus on defense. So even though this play doesn't look like it's likely to win over the course of the next turn or two, it's all Christopher can do. He can't hang back.
In comes Progenitus, Rill's down to 7. There is a Misty. And Hall's just going to pass the turn back, it seems. Rill's going to go reaching. Now, will he go draining or will he go gaining is the question. Looks like he's going to go gaining this time.
Because he still has the 2 Deathrite Shamans available, so he always has the option of pivoting and doing a different strategy.
Yep.
But if he doesn't gain life this turn, he kind of can't do it the following turns because he has to get to 11 to have it make a difference.
Rill does have another copy of Vengevine in hand. So now Vengevines are clogging things up. He's got too many of them. And the unfortunate thing for Vengevine is that it is easily chump blockable, doesn't trample. There that is.
If Christopher could just flood the board with 1/1s, I feel like he could get this game.
For sure.
But since he's so light on resources, he may just not be able to generate enough chump blockers to give Progenitus that extra turn it needs.
When it comes to Vengevines, we're going to see if he can do that or not. I think you have to attack here if you're Rill.
Well, keep in mind that there's a Dryad Arbor on the other side of the table.
Yep.
And a fetch land. And even if Eric gains 2, if any of the 1/1s come across as well, then gaining 2 doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's got to be a little careful there with how he balances his life total right now.
Yep.
Looks like he might go Zenithing. This would be a Zenith for 0 here if he does cast this. But Lilla thinking perhaps a little better of it is going to come into the red zone with both the Vengevines. Hall going to sacrifice, go down to 12. I believe he'll be searching up a Dryad Arbor here and possibly doing some blocking. So there is a second Dryad Arbor. We'll see how he wants to block here and if there will be a Quirion Ranger activation or not.
If he's gained the Arbor right now, I assume this means that he's trying to at least get 1 free chump block in there.
Vengevines will be blocked rather quickly. Ranger will pick up 1, other one will die. So no damage dealt. Hall still at a healthy 12. Progenitus going to untap. Chris will draw. Copy of Heritage Druid.
Heritage Druid, just anything, any 1/1 is a big draw here for Christopher.
Yeah, you're thrilled with that.
Yeah.
Rill going to very quickly gain some life. Go up to 11, take 10, go down to 1.
I mean, he's got 3 chump blockers here.
Yep.
That's quite a bit to work with.
Rill's going to untap. Now, Cradle is probably the best draw for Eric this turn, as he does have Green Sun Zenith in his hand. We'll see if he's able to draw 1. He's going to slow roll himself a little bit. But I don't think it was a Cradle.
And I think that even if he can get all 4 Vengevines in play with the 3 chump blockers and not a lot else going on Eric's side of the table, I don't think he's going to be able to win the game this turn. And I don't see any way in his list to stop a Progenitus, naturally, so.
His list is creative. It's not that creative.
Right.
No answer to the old 10-10 Hydra. You see his hand. The draw for the turn was a copy of Deathrite Shaman, a cheap card to be able to maybe bring back the Vengevine, but not what the doctor ordered right now. And so Rill's going to kind of go through those iterations and figure out if there's some sort of way he can get 12 points of damage across between the Vengevines and the Deathrite Shaman activations, but I don't think that's the case.
And Christopher's really done a marvelous job of working through this game. I mean, I think the way that he navigated his chump blocks last turn was very good, making sure that he could cash in when the getting was good.
There's a Vengevine. This is a Deathrite Shaman. That'll bring back a Vengevine. Here's some hasty beats. An attack here for 16. But again, the problem here with Vengevine is that no trample. So there are some blocks very quickly. all Christopher Hall's creatures are going to die. And Rill is going to concede the game. So Christopher Hall is going to win this match here over Eric Rill, 2-1. Elves will take down Cloud Vine. Unfortunately for Rill, coming off of his bye, going to start his tournament off with a loss with this innovative deck. A bit of a hybrid there in Elves, but the traditional take on Elves gets the job done.
And I think in this matchup, I'd rather be on the Elves side of the table because both of these decks, it feels like this matchup is just a race to your big kill.